Previously on HUTV. Tonight's episode, King of Pain.
Hello and welcome to episode 5 of HUTV, Huntsville Utilities Television. I'm Todd, joined as always by the Bonnie to my Clyde and the Jekyll to my Hyde, Amanda.
Hi everybody.
As you know, HUTV would not be possible without the support of our sponsors. And here with this week's sponsor is the life-size cardboard cutout of our president and CEO, Mr. Wes Kelly. This week's episode of HUTV is sponsored by Unpopped Popcorn Kernels. They're your dentist's best friend, breaking teeth since 4700 BC. Unpopped popcorn kernels. Thank you, Flat Wes. You know, even though we're only on episode number 5, we're going to revisit a topic that we've already discussed a couple of episodes back.
That's right. We are still getting a lot of questions and comments about the recent utility bills, and people are still saying that they're a little bit higher than they normally should be.
Yes, and as Amanda and I both said in episode 2, I believe it was, our own personal utility bills were higher as well. In fact, I don't mind telling you, my bill was $450, significantly higher than it usually is. And my wife and I were not thrilled about it, but we also weren't terribly surprised by it either, because we knew the bill was going to be higher due to the cooler weather we'd had during the billing cycle.
Right, weather is the most significant impact of energy usage, and I know you guys are tired of us saying that, but honestly, it's been cool, and now it's gotten downright cold, so you're going to see an increase in your utility consumption.
Right, and we've suggested some energy tips like turning down the thermostat, bundling up with layers, but at some point, there's just not much you can do except to expect to use a little more energy to stay comfortable.
Right, and I did a little research. It looks like we really haven't had a similar January, unless you go back to 2018. That was when we had the colder temperatures, and if you have some of those bills from 2018, you can actually look at the degree days, and you'll see on your bill, current bill and previous bill, the degree days are about the same.
And I know you're thinking 2018, geez, that was 3 years ago. So much could have changed since then. Well, if you've made energy improvements since then you should be able to tell a difference. But if you're like me and you had to wheel the old fridge out to the garage when you bought a new one, well, now I'm running 2 refrigerators.
Yes, but you've got a happy family because there's cold drinks.
This is true. And something else to consider, if your bill is high and there's no obvious reason for it, that's a good suggestion that you should do a survey of your home.
What do you mean, Todd?
Well, you know, maybe there weren't any changes to your lifestyle, and I get that. We hear that a lot from people saying, I haven't changed a thing. But here's an example. And Amanda remembers this very well. A couple of years ago, I had water leaking out of the bottom of my hot water heater. And it was so slight, and due to the location of the water heater, we didn't pick up on it at first. So basically, I was heating water that was then going out of the hot water heater and flowing along the wall of the garage. And it was a couple of months before we noticed it.
That's right. I remember that now. And actually, about the same time, that was when I was dealing with something with my dad. He was complaining about his living room just wasn't getting as warm as he's used to it getting. And it turns out we did a little research in his attic. The ductwork had come just ever so slightly apart. And so a lot of his hot air was actually escaping into the attic.
Yeah, now the bottom line is if you have a high bill, it needs to be investigated. And we know a lot of you have commented on a post we put out Thursday night, and you had some things to say, some questions to ask, and we hear you. We read all the comments. Now, due to the sheer volume of comments that we received that night, we just couldn't respond to everyone. Now, if you have a question, send it to us in a direct message through social media, and we will assist you. But you have to know there are limits on what our team can do compared to the amazing men and women who work in our customer information center.
Yeah, and with that, Todd, I've got to give a shout out to Kim and a few more folks in customer care. You know who you are, and I really appreciate all of your help.
Yes, we can't thank them enough. They've been working really hard to answer your questions as well. And a lot of your questions have still revolved around weather and energy consumption, and that's something we've been talking about a lot here. And Amanda has come up with a pretty interesting visual demonstration that helps illustrate how weather impacts your energy use. And that means it's time for a new segment that we call Professor Amanda's Fun with Science.
You'll see here I have 3 electric kettles, each one filled with water. The kettle represents your home, and the starting temperature of the water represents the outside air temperature. Our target in each kettle is to get the water to a boiling point. So in kettle 3, the water is at 32 degrees. That's because this is ice water. Kettle number 1 is filled with water at 68 degrees, which is like room temperature. And then kettle number 2 actually has 200-degree water, so it's very close to boiling. When the light goes off on the kettle, the water has reached the target temperature, and the timer will show how long it took to get the water to boiling. As you can see, the water that started at 200 degrees only took 1 minute and 14 seconds to reach target. The water that started at 68 degrees took nearly 4 minutes, and the water that was 32 degrees took nearly 8 minutes, using 6 times as much energy as that water that started out at 200 degrees. It's the same with your home. The closer your thermostat is set to the outside air temperature, the less energy you will use to heat or cool your home. If it's 32 outside and your thermostat is set to 72, you'll use more energy than if your thermostat is set to 67.
Thank you for that, Professor Amanda. And as always, if you have a question about your bill, you can call 256-535-1200, and our excellent Customer Information Center will review your bill. Now, for security reasons, I have to say again, we cannot discuss specific information about your bill through social media or email. And speaking of your comments, it's time for us to look at some of your comments and questions with Amanda's favorite segment, Comments, Questions, Caitlin. Welcome back, Caitlin, and why don't you tell us a little bit of what you've been seeing on the interwebs since last we spoke?
Absolutely, and what's up, everybody? So let's dive right on in with the first comment for the day. So on February 1st, we had a power outage in the Chase/Moore's Mill area. The outage was caused actually when a pickup truck unfortunately struck a utility pole. Zachary was near the site of the accident and snapped this pic for us, which he posted in the comments. We did not receive any reports of injuries, thank goodness, which is great, and most of the power was back up and running in only half an hour.
And that's a great pick, and we really appreciate Zachary posting it. But we do want to say, if you plan on sending us a pic of something or posting one in the comments, please be safe when you do it. Don't approach any downed lines or anything that looks like it could put you in danger. Zachary was clearly in a safe area when he took this, so be like Zachary and be safe.
Yes, great word there, Todd. And thank you again, Zach. We do appreciate the picture as always. So on to the next comment. Actually, it's another great picture that we received from Laura. She said, we made Huntsville Utilities aware Wednesday night that our streetlight had been out. They are here today, Saturday, repairing it. That's doggone good service right there, and thank you. Well, Laura, we are so glad that we were able to take care of your streetlight, and you're most welcome. Thank you for that wonderful message.
There's a bunch of streetlights out there.
Yeah, there are.
It's a constant trying to keep up with them all.
Yes. Yeah. Lots of lights to keep up with. All right. And actually, finally, this is our first repeat commenter of this segment. Andrew, who posted a tweet we featured a couple weeks ago, said, loved your episode of HUTV yesterday. I never like to lose patience when it comes to a power outage. I just say, they'll get it back on quick. It never takes long, but it has to be done safely. And yes, Andrew, you are so right. It does have to be done safely. While we hate it when your power is off, we want to make sure that our guys are safe because they are dealing with lethal levels of electricity. So as our supervisor always says, we will get your power back on as quickly and safely as possible.
And you know, we spend so much time on these social media channels. After a while, you start to recognize names. And Andrew's name is one of those that pops up a lot, and we recognize it, and we thank him for his support and his comments.
Yes, thank you, Andrew.
I gotta say, it's kind of funny because you might recognize the names on social media, but it feels like every time I go out to take pictures of a storm recovery or an outage, I always see the same linemen. I swear we have a bunch of them.
Yes. So yeah, that is actually all of our comments for today. But remember, if you do have a question or a comment, please post it below this video. Even if it has nothing to do with what we talked about today, you can also direct message us. And if you do, we may address it or feature it right here on this show. So message away, people. We want to hear from you.
Yes, we do indeed, Caitlin. And now it's time to give this week's birthday shout out. Today's birthday is Creed Bratton, born on this day in 1943. Creed Bratton is an American character actor, singer, and musician, best known for playing a fictionalized version of himself on the NBC sitcom The Office, which earned him 5 nominations from the Screen Actors Guild for outstanding performance by an ensemble in a comedy series. My personal favorite character on The Office, by the way. Before he took up acting, Creed was a founding member of the rock folk band The Grassroots, whose big hit was... Anyone know? Anyone? No? Nobody knows? Midnight Confessions, which I would sing, except it would probably get us slapped with a YouTube copyright thing. Midnight Confessions hit number 5 on the U.S. charts in 1968. Creed also holds the distinction of being the first person in the birthday shout-out section who was still alive when we did the birthday shout-out. Everybody else was born in like the 1700s or the year 47 or whatever, and so, but Creed is still alive and well, kicking with it, and he's very funny on social media. If you don't follow Creed Bratton on social media, you need to check it out because he's really, really funny. Fantastic musician as well. And of course, Creed will, of course, live on in immortality as one of the guys on the old Dutch Masters cigar box. So, before we go, we want to remind you, and happy birthday, Creed. We're going to tag him in this. Hopefully he'll see that. Before we go, we want to remind you that we are currently accepting applications for a fiber utility worker. You have until midnight this Thursday, February 11th, to get your application in if you're interested in that. And you can find more information and even apply at the careers section of www.hsvutil.org. Does anybody else have anything they want to add?
Actually, I do have something I want to add today.
Do tell.
So back to what y'all were talking about with all the messages and comments we've been getting about bills. I wanted to put a little safety tip out there for everyone. When you do message us about your bill, like, we can't discuss with you all the specifics of your bill. Wanted to caution y'all to not post pictures of your bills online because they do contain personal identifiable information. If you feel the need to post it, just remember to block out, redact that information so that other people can't take advantage of that info.
That's true. Best practice is to just not take a picture at all and post it. But like Caitlin said, yeah, don't do that. You're with identity theft being what it is in this day and age, you don't want to go down that road.
Yep.
And nobody will pay your bill.
Yeah. Amanda always brings that up because she actually did that once.
It's been long deleted.
That's true. Of course, guests on HUTV receive a copy of the HUTV home game. It's handy for mom, dandy for dad, rinses clean in any dishwasher, and stores flat in any drawer. The HUTV home game. So, until next time, keep sending us your questions and comments, and we'll be back next week with another episode. For Amanda, Caitlin, Flat Wes, and all of us at HUTV, thank you for watching, and remember, you can't spell utilities without you.